The news cycle is moving incredibly fast these days, and today JD Vance has been picked as the VP on the Republican ticket. But before we have a look at that, I wanted to go back on the events that happened this weekend and offer a little bit of analysis on it. My guess is from now on, we're not going to see presidential campaigns attack their opponent in the way that Joe Biden did. This will be remembered as a major strategic mistake from a campaign, and never again will we see someone attack their opponent as viciously and strongly as Joe Biden did. And the reason for that is, of course, going to be because you cannot foresee the consequences of the words that you're using. And while Joe Biden, of course, in his campaign was using exaggeration and figures of speech, it can be interpreted by people in the public in a totally different way. Now, if you're running a campaign like Joe Biden was and you're calling Trump, he's Hitler, he's a threat to democracy, he's an authoritarian, he's a dictator and all that, and it's not really true, you're just trying to sort of, steer your base and play to their ideas, and you're trying to motivate them to go out there and vote for you. Well, you don't really believe that's true. It's one thing, but the way people are going to interpret that is a different thing. And my guess is now in the future, no one will ever make that mistake again. No one will ever attack the opposing candidate as, a threat to democracy or Hitler or a dictator, because that sort of implies that violence against him is legitimate. And while I don't think that the Biden campaign ever really meant that in literal terms, the way people are going to interpret what has happened this weekend will leave absolutely no way out for Joe Biden. After you've done that and after people have seen what has happened, how are you going to change the perception of what you've said and everything that you've built your campaign on, of course? Because Joe Biden didn't really have much to campaign on. He didn't really have a strong record. He couldn't campaign on how well he did with the economy, or how well he did in foreign policy, or how well he did in whatever security. The only thing that he had to be able to campaign on was, look at the other guy. The other guy is a terrible person, and I'm not that. I'm great. And you should vote for me because he's dangerous and he's a threat to democracy. But when a crazy person goes out there and take an action like that, then whether you meant it or not, this is going to bring such a backlash on you that you're never going to be able to distance yourself from what you said in the past. Of course, 1 week before that has happened, Biden has said we need to put Trump in a bullseye. And now 1 week later, you're saying, I wish him well. But there's no amount of you saying, now I wish him well, that's going to erase what you've said. So there is probably no way now for Joe Biden to turn the campaign around. And this event is going to seal the fate of the election, at least in terms of the presidency. Let's have a look a little bit here at the prediction markets, because they're going to show us exactly what's happening in terms of not polling yet, because polling is lagging and it will take some time for the poll to show up the data. But we can have an idea on what the markets are thinking. So to the question, which party will win the election in 2024, we now have Republicans at 69% versus Democrats at 35%. And we can see the events of this weekend have clearly increased the spread between the two. We now have the Republicans at 69, and just before this weekend, they were only at 60. And if we look at the previous 30 days, then the picture now is stark. And really, it's very unlikely now that Biden can turn this around and change this gap. You can see here on June 25th, so just 20 days ago, Biden and Trump were really neck to neck. 53-49. It was a toss up, and now at 69 against 35. Now it's basically impossible for him to come back from that deficit, and we see that the gap is just widening. And the debate, of course, had some incidents, but at 45, there was still a shot to turn this around, right? But ever since this weekend, now he's in the mid 30s, and it's very unlikely that he can bridge that gap. And we can also have a look at who will win the 2024 Democratic nomination, which, of course, over the last few weeks, ever since the debate, people were saying, oh, Joe Biden needs to step down and leave the spot to someone else who can make a better case and has better chances of getting elected. And ever since this weekend, where he was also neck to neck with Kamala Harris, now there is it's none of that anymore. Harris is now at 22, Biden at 68. So this question is now over. And we can see, in a way, yes, it benefited Biden, what has happened this weekend, because no one is thinking about replacing him on the Democratic side now. But of course, the reason for that is because, well, they know that the Democrats are going to lose. No one wants to take the L for Biden. It was his campaign, after all, that decided to lead this type of attack on Trump. And so now no other Democrat is going to want to have the stain of political violence on their record. And it's going to be Joe Biden who's going to take full responsibility for this campaign. Now that we've had a look on how the events of this weekend have shaped this presidential race, we can better understand why J.D. Vance has been picked as a VP on the Republican ticket. Now, of course, J.D. Vance was already a favorite for the nomination as a VP, but because of what has happened this weekend, we can understand why the choice of J.D. Vance made sense. Of course, there's less of a necessity for the Trump campaign to sort of go and poach votes from the other side. And because the gap has widened and is going to widen in the polls between Trump and Biden, now the play for the Trump campaign is going to be to play to the base. And in those terms, J.D. Vance is definitely going to be a good pick, someone who will do well with rural voters and blue-collar workers. J.D. Vance has written this book, The Hillbilly Elegy, that became a major motion picture, really talking about the struggles of the sort of Rust Belt of America, the industrial base that's been decimated by neoliberal policies and globalism, and that has left a gap in this part of American society that really the Democrats haven't been able to address in any way, despite claiming that they're really the party that cares about the workers. There's really been this this sort of a forgotten America that has been completely left out of the prosperity that the neoliberal policies have brought to sort of the coastal regions of America. So let's have a look at the nomination of J.D. Vance at the Republican convention.
And welcome to the Five. We are about to see J.D. Vance nominated to be the vice presidential candidate. We want to listen in here.
A man who loves America and will represent our people with moral courage, strength, and honor. J.D. is a living embodiment of the American dream. He came from humble beginnings, and even as his life took him to places he might have never imagined, he never forgot where he came from. Ohio values are in his blood. He served our nation in the United States Marine Corps. He is a graduate of The Ohio State University. He graduated summa cum laude from Yale Law School and is the author of the best-selling book Hillbilly Elegy. And he is a crusader for the people of the Ohio in the United States Senate. He has never forgotten the working people of our country, and he never will. He fought to bring investment to Middle America as a businessman and has fought to defend them every single day in the Senate. And this I know, he will faithfully stand by President Donald Trump's side as they win this election and change the course of our nation. They will change the course of our nation to the benefit of all American citizens and truly make our country great again. It is therefore my honor to nominate Ohio Senator J.D. Vance for the office of Vice President of the United States of America.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion that Senator J.D. Vance be nominated by acclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Nominated by acclamation.
What a great night. Pursuant to Rule 40D of the rules of the Republican Party, I formally declare President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance as the Republican nominees for President and Vice President of the United States.
Hit me with that like, and sub to the channel. Hit me with that like, and click the effing bell. Click that little right, the algo recommends. For she go like, the algo knows you well. Hit me with that like. Subscribe to the channel, hit me with that like, and click the effing bell.